Your love, I'm gonna make you mine. There's something special about your love. I think it's one of a kind.
If you're new to our blog, the reason that you probably clicked on this video as opposed to our other videos, other than us being totally invisible to the algorithm, is me saying something about this, which is right behind me. You see those three homes? And then our house, new construction in Florida, Central Florida, but new construction nonetheless. So let's talk about it. So we sold in South Florida and moved to Central Florida, and the market was getting insane. Not to say that the market is super great here. It's insane. It's insane everywhere. So anyway, one of the reasons that we moved from South Florida, besides that we wanted like a new environment, you know, just wanted a restart, was the market was getting crazy. Central Florida is a much bigger market with a lot more things going on. And while every market has gone insane, compared to other parts of the country, our ridiculous prices seem reasonable. But be careful with that. Be careful with that. The first thing and foremost, and a lot of people don't think about this, is what is crazy to you, right? What's crazy to you might not seem crazy to someone else in a crazier market, but you don't want to come from that crazier market and turn it back into that crazier market. So just because homes, if you're in LA, if you're in New York, if you're up north, are being sold for $700,000-800,000 and they're 1,500 square feet or 1,200 square feet, don't move to Florida and these other Texas and these other places where the market is better and then pay over market price, reasonable market price. Look at what the homes were last sold for and take into account inflation. But don't just say, okay, well, my house sold for $700,000, so I'll buy this house for $450,000. That sounds reasonable. Yeah, but if you look, Open Door could have just bought that house 3 months before you're looking at it, and I've slapped on an extra $100,000 onto that house. Now I know that sounds crazy because not everyone is going to take my advice, but if everyone would take that into consideration, the houses are only worth what you're willing to pay for them. So if you come down and you're willing to say, you know what, I didn't have a backyard in New York, but this has a little tiny backyard, I'll pay $600,000 for it. What the hell? My apartment just sold for $800,000. Well, guess what you just did to that market? You just made it that much harder for everyone behind you. So I'm not blaming us as the consumer, because of course there's a lot more factors on it, but don't play into the factors with that. Be careful with what you're doing. Consider renting. Do research. Don't move down to somewhere that you haven't researched or you haven't even got to see, because you will be hit with some surprises. We visited Central Florida quite frequently when it came to vacations and stuff, and as much as I'm also one of the people that advocate vacationing is very different from living there, we had felt like we had seen enough to try and take the plunge at the adventure. I'm not saying don't be adventurous. I'm not saying take a chance. What I'm saying is be careful. If you have the time, if you can consider it, try renting in and around the area you think you want to live and see what it's like. You know, a lot of the draw for Central Florida, when people say Orlando, they call literally everywhere up to Tampa, to Ocala, and down to like West Palm Beach. They call that Central Florida, and then they'll call everything in driving distance within maybe an hour of Disney World, they'll call that Orlando, which is not true. Our big joke here is everything is 30 minutes or more away, which ends up being true. But the best thing, if you're moving for Disney, first of all, don't let anybody shame you about moving for Disney. But if you are moving here because of the theme parks, because of the attractions, because of Disney World specifically, or whatever it is, take into consideration that you're probably outside of someone maybe blogging and doing something full-time with Disney, you're not going to Disney every day. So having Disney be 30, 40, 50 minutes away is not that terrible. We live about, I would say, maybe 15 to 20 minutes maximum from our garage to maybe the gates at Disney, or even get into a parking lot. We can be in a parking lot at Disney in about 20 minutes, which sounds great. But the thing is, we have to go down a street called Old Lake Wilson, which is the bane of my existence right now. Old Lake Wilson has become my own private I-4. There's 2 lanes on the whole road, and everybody who is not using I-4 to go to Champions Gate is using Old Lake Wilson, it seems like, to get down into the Davenport area. And what takes 20 minutes to go to Disney takes at least 50 minutes coming back. No matter what, you're going to spend 50 minutes coming back. And also almost irregardless of what time of day it is, unless you're talking about early in the day. And I've gone early in the morning to training, it's still 50 minutes, because then there's traffic going that way. You're coming back down the road, it's just as bad. So Old Lake Wilson, I don't know. Then we saw online something about Old Lake Wilson. Oh, they're doing research to possibly consider widening Old Lake Wilson by 2023. That might seem like, oh, that's around the corner, but it was like they had to do a 5-year study, and I don't know. Remember, the pandemic lockdown hours are going to be considered in this time period. Just look out for traffic patterns. What is 20 minutes right now might be an hour at any other time of day, and vice versa. So consider what we try to consider every time we go house shopping, is that your everyday shopping is more important than the things that you might going to maybe go once a month, once every 2 months, or something like that. We're going to Disney like whenever we feel like, whenever we're free, but we're still not going to Disney, I would say, once a week. So what's the importance of being 15 minutes away from Disney or 20 minutes away from Disney if you're not going at least once a week? It's better to put some distance between Disney and you than to put distance between you and your everyday. Now, as you just see me fanning my hand, we're combating another thing here. Bugs are crazy in Florida, period. But they are super crazy once you get into Central Florida. There's more of them. They're giant, they're huge. You've probably seen that on multiple videos coming from people saying, warning you about things to know about moving to Florida. They're not exaggerating, and that's why you hear it from everybody about bugs. Bugs are crazy here, and I am originally from Jamaica in the Caribbean, so it's not like I am totally new to mosquitoes or bugs on a whole, but bugs are everywhere, and there are a super big variety of them. The most irritating of all the bugs right now, because we haven't gotten to love bug season, but the most irritating has to be, and sorry, I just noticed this wasp crawling into a vent that's supposed to be on our house of the stove. You can tell that multitasking is not my strong suit, right? Anyway, so flies, I don't know if it is a new construction issue. I'm starting to wonder, why are there so many flies? We don't have anything to really attract them. Yeah, we keep the garbage bin outside, but I mean, I can only imagine if we kept it in the garage and they get the 2 seconds that your garage is open for to fly in. They are everywhere, and they are getting into our house right now. We have sent a message to the property manager about bugs getting under our sliding glass door right now. to which we haven't gotten the most prompt response yet, but we'll still give them some time. We'll give them some time. But I can tell you, have a violation of something and you see how fast they'll move towards you. But you know how that goes. You owe somebody money, they're on your tail about it. But when they owe you money, you're going to hurry up and wait.
Happens, man. Oh my God! Yeah, that's what happens. Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
Anyway, so yeah, bugs is crazy. I'm combating flies right now. I'm trying to figure out how the flies are getting in the house, other than when we have to do the human thing, which is open the sliding glass door for 2 seconds, or the front door, or the garage door, or whatever it is. But there are bugs everywhere, and the flies down here, like I said, I don't know if it is because of the new construction, which you might be saying, why? What would flies have to do with new construction? I don't know. I'm not saying that I know this as a scientific fact. I just know that the flies seem to really be set on our particular house. I don't see them so much at the other houses. And when we moved in initially, these were just all basically sand lots. Nothing was here because they were going to build. We have watched them build these 3 homes, which they haven't completed any of them yet. Funny enough, that house on the end there, that house there that looks almost completed, is a 1-story, and it started completion before these 2 were even a brick was down. These 2 have put down all the cement part first, and still that house is just being finished. That roof is brand new onto that new construction. So behind me displays another thing to think about when you're looking at new construction in Florida. Be careful. Look at your builder. Look at how your builder builds. We are very old school. You know, we're looking for something built beforehand, and this was even before they had the excuse of supply chain issues and getting things to be even further of an excuse for this. But as you can see, look, this house next door to me is going to be a 2-story, just like our house. And that house there is the same model. It's 3 of the same models back to back, and then a 1-story. Yeah, what do you notice about that behind me? I'll give you a second to take a look. So this is our house. This is our current rental. That house next door is going to be 2-story. That is 2-story, and that is a 1-story. Well, what do you notice about the 1-story? The 1-story is all solid cinder block. All of these houses have cinder block, but they're always going to be at that level. The second floor doesn't have 1 bit of cinder block, so that's why you don't see the cinder block in this one. This is that, and this is the finished product. When I wasn't used to that, so the external walls upstairs, I didn't need a hammer drill to go into anything to hang anything off the walls. It's just basically wood. Now, I'm not saying it's not strong, but just bear in mind, when it rains and the storms are getting a little crazy, upstairs sounds way more hectic than your average South Floridian is used to with construction, because the whole top half of the house is not brick. This is not something that, as a Jamaican especially, I'm used to, and I particularly desire. If I have to buy an older property or have it custom built, to have that not be a thing, or go with a 1-story, that's something to consider. Another thing is, as these places are being built, you have to put up with, now that what you hear in the background, if you're hearing the mowers and stuff, that's normal neighborhood noise, right? People are gonna mow their lawns. But as you can imagine, as you can see how far the house is from each other, you can maybe, if you're lucky, a child could do a cartwheel from one wall to the next before bumping straight into the other house, right? My wife has joked, me and my wife have joked about the fact that these are like non-touching townhomes. They're so close, right? So when, you know, you hear these realtors talking about zero lot line and this and that, yeah, what I don't really know what's so positive about that. I mean, I guess they're telling you that the market is so hot that, again, us the consumer is willing to buy a zero lot line. But you didn't move down to South Florida to enjoy outside and the thing there, to have absolutely no lot outside. They'll tell you it's easier maintenance, but then you have nothing. You have no backyard, you have nothing to fence, it's less privacy outside. And as you can imagine, living next door to that, when they bring in the crane to put on the roof parts, when they were putting on the cinder block and all of that stuff, you're hearing all of that. Our house literally needed to be swept daily, because that's sand there, the wind whips it up, it ends up in your garage, in your house, everything. So living in new construction has, oh yeah, you're the first one in the house, we are the first people to live in our house, but we pay the price. It's not like a car. Sometimes you want people to have done the new construction thing for you. You know, I always say I want to drive on new roads, I don't want to pave them, right? So that's another thing to consider about new construction. So there's the builder, there's the area, there's what the houses are really worth, and what is the surrounding area like. When some of these places pop up, right, the builder will just find a piece of land. Okay, it's not swamp, we can build there, and they build this amazing looking place with all these nice homes outside. But you drive outside, and next door to you is somebody that maybe refused to sell. So they have like 100-year-old wooden, rickety old, crazy looking house, or they might have these manufactured homes. There's all of these things that you're looking at inside your neighborhood is great, but what the brochure won't show you is outside the neighborhood. How far is the Publix? How far is the next Publix or supermarket? For those of you not familiar with Publix, that is going to, you know, if that one is out of stock. We called, I think she tried to call a pizza place, and they're like, oh, we don't deliver down there. It takes us like 40 minutes to get to the Walmart that's up Old Lake Wilson. You're talking about an hour and 20 minutes like round trip, and that's without you spending a second in Walmart, right? We actually live in the middle area of Davenport, like middle upper area of Davenport, on the outskirts of the Davenport area, and it's easier for us to drive down to 27 and go to the Walmart on 27 than to go to the Walmart that is a couple of miles up the road because of the traffic and the way that Old Lake Wilson is. Now we think about that. I want you to think about where you're moving from and how quickly you go to your stores that are, you know, when I say convenience store, I don't mean your corner store, your bodega or whatever. I mean convenient, like they have, you know, they have a little bit of grocery, they have, oh, I need some outside lights, or I need, like your Walmarts, your stores like that, your department store, the shopping that you do all the time. Maybe you shop at Aldi's or some other small market, maybe Whole Foods. There's no Whole Foods where we are, right? So it takes some consideration of what is in the surrounding areas. Yeah, the house might be brand new. You might be the first person to have that home, but are there schools, are the roads ready for the influx of people? Are the things outside ready for that? Because I'll tell you a little dirty trick that they do. I'm going to show it to you right in front of my house. This happens outside, and I'm going to tell you what my theory on why it happens is. And I don't know this for a fact. I don't work for any contractors. I don't know any of them. None of the builders, none of them have told me this. But I'm going to tell you what my theory is. So check this out. Here's my neighbor and my neighborhood. Here's my house. Okay, so another thing that they do that I think is very slimy is I think there's a lot of things that go into sight lines. Sight lines when you're buying a house, when you're looking online, because we're looking on Realtor, we're looking on Zillow, and we're seeing homes, and we're seeing them take pictures at the best time with the best cameras at the best angle. You know, some things look awesome until you do further research, right? So, for example, I'm going to turn the camera around. So, here is my driveway, right? Here's the sidewalk. Oh, looks great. Then it just stops. Now, let's be honest and full disclosure. We know why is, you know, someone's gonna say, well, they have to drive tractors and heavy materials over here, so they can't finish the sidewalk. But the joke is, and I'll show an example of this at a later date. At the front, they'll build this beautiful sign that goes right here, you know, Dreamville, Magic Wish, Seven Dwarves, Cottage, you know, Pavilion, Sunshine Valley, or whatever the name of the subdivision with the new construction is, right? And in the front, we'll have sidewalks and this beautiful grass and this great landscaping. But right off center of that picture, the sidewalk will abruptly end. Just abruptly end and go into bush, or abruptly end and just go into absolutely nothing. What is that sidewalk built right in front of only your subdivision for? It's to sell the house. It's not. Now, this is my theory, but it's to sell the house. It's not for anything other than the visual, a visual aesthetic of selling the property. When will that sidewalk be completed? Who knows? You know, will that sidewalk ever be completed? Who knows? But in the pictures that they sold you the house on, they're there. Now, if they were being honest, they would just keep grass there and those things. But again, it's to give you the sight line of there being this great looking community. And the reality is, yeah, it's great within your gate, but what's outside your kingdom? So keep that in mind when you're house shopping. I think I'll try and go into some other things later, but for now, let me get back inside, get hydrated, figure out what we're doing for the day. I have work tomorrow, so, and I'm still combating these damn flies. What are they doing? There's nothing in here. Literally, there's nothing. There's no reason to be buzzing around at the door of the garage. But there are like 10 of them right now just buzzing around at the door. Like they're waiting on me to open the door. It's the craziest thing.
I think it's one of a kind. There's something special about your love. I want it all the time. You will always be my inspiration.